My name is John Kanyoni, a small bird. Many people ask why my name has not transitioned to Kanyoni, which means a big bird. But I always tell them my middle name is Gethiare, and Gethiare, from where I come from, is a big club, rungu kubwa. So it protects the small Kanyoni, and I thank God for that. I am born again this morning by the grace and mercies of God. I'm here. And let me start by bringing you greetings from my wife. And I will tell you why as I continue. But she sent me with greetings. She has helped me in this journey. Amenivumilia miaka mingi sana, mingi sana. And I thank God for her. As a man, I've had my own struggles, my own challenges, which also means the wounds. Because as you live, there will be wounds that will come your way. Any man here saying that I have not been wounded is lying. It's just like the Bible says, if any of us says you have no sin, then you are a liar. I have been wounded as a man. I've been wounded as a son. I've been wounded as a father. I've been wounded as a grandfather. Are we together? I have been wounded as a worker in where I work. And I have been wounded in service, in church. Are we there? In church. But let me say this. In my life, I have only touched a lion 2 times. Munipigie makofi. Touched a lion 2 times. One of the times is when my kids were very young, my sons, and I took them to the orphanage, as most of us fathers do. And there was a lion on the cage that was lying, leaning just next to those barbed wire, cages. So ilikuwa imelala tu hapo. And for me, I decided, I think out of mischief or whatever, I don't know whether I wanted to show my kids, nikai poke with a finger through the fence. Nikai poke hapa. The sound that came from that lion, I couldn't move. One of my sons alikimbia, I can't run after him. Huyo mwingine aliscream, and we are always told when we are frightened there is the 3 F's. Flight, flee, and freeze. So I knew that's the king of the jungle. Ile sauti ilitoka, everyone else got scared. That's one incident. Second incident is when some of you would remember that there are some lions in Kitengela that have been slashed off by Maasais because of killing their cows some years back. Where I was working and in the job that I was doing, I had a relation with the KWS because we had a number of animals where I was, just next to them. That's at Multimedia University. We had baboons, we had warthogs, we had sometimes leopards that I was taking care of by nature of my duties. So this time when they were wounded in Kitengela, one of my friends from KWS called me and he told me, we are going to Kitengela. And I joined them. When we got there, there were the lions that had been, one was actually really wounded. Vidonda, cut. And it was lying there. So I touched it now again. And this time, this lion, the sound that came from it, I just stood there and looked at it. Are you getting where I'm coming from? So both of them were lions. Actually, this lion that was wounded, because that's where I'll finish off now, they took it, it was injected, the vets came, it was brought to the orphanage, taken care of, treated, And after some time, I came to learn it was again taken back to the wild as a real lion. Are you getting it? So 2 scenarios of the lions. One was the real lion. The other one was wounded, but it could not be discharged or it could not be seen as a lion. Are we together? So when men we are wounded, we remain to be male, but we are not able to discharge our duties. We are not able to be felt. We are not able even to do what we are supposed to do as men. Do we get that scenario of the lion? Are we together? If you look at the man next to you and tell him, you look like you are a wounded warrior. Mwambie sio judgment. So the thing is, when we talk about wounds and masculinity wounds, we say every man is a warrior. By the way God created us and we live, then all of us are warriors. But in the course of living in the various capacities that, like I have given mine, the fact that you are male at one time, you are a father, you are a worker, you are a gentleman, or you are a gentleless man. Is there something like that? Right? So you still be wounded. But some of the wounds are perceived, but others are real. And wounds cut deep. Wounds cut deep. And I know we talk about a number of wounds. Now that mlininyima pali pa kuwekelea hii ni sawa tu, nita struggle. No problem. On a light touch, don't worry, I don't need it. No, it's okay. Okay. Yeah, it will be faster, it will be easier for me. By the way, there are some presentations that I had, I will share them. So I want to be guided without the presentations. Thank you, sir. So that I can also move in very fast. I talk a lot because Kanyoni speaks so much. So when you are bored enough with me, then you can let me know. Anyway, on a light touch. So a wounded man describes a man who feels inadequate or not man enough due to certain factors which could be societal pressures and other issues that we are going to look at as the wounded man. Many men experience this wound as a persistent sense of falling apart, regardless of internal or external achievements. It creates an internal critic that constantly measures worth against impossible standards or strength, success, and stoicism. We have hidden struggles that we have as a man, and we often conceal our emotions, pain, and we also mask because of what we were always told. Men don't cry, men don't show up. I have, over the years, disputed that. Men don't cry, it's true, we were told that. But like I have said, you'll allow me to just either give you some links or refer you. I have a TikTok page, I have a number of clips that I've put in there, and I say in one of the clips, we were told men don't cry, but they never finished that statement. Can I finish it today? And I say men don't cry before women and children, because they are depending on you, they are looking up upon you. You are their strength, you are their hope. So when you cry before them, they lose it. Are we together? So men don't cry before women and children, but we cry before other men. But where we cry has to be a safe space. Safe space in the sense that I have an environment that I can be able to process, I can be able to project my feelings amidst men who are not judging me as less of a man, who will accept me for the man that I am. They may hate what I have done or what I've interacted with, and there will be no judgments, so that I can be encouraged to keep sharing. And that is what most men we lack. Even in church, or sometimes I say worse off in church. And because men, we are very good at competing. It's wired in us in nature. And most of the times, we always say, you're asking for a brother? You say it asking for a friend? Yes? Even when it concerns you, when it is about you, when it is you who is asking, you'll say, there is a friend of mine. Are we together? Why? Because of the way we judge one another. In church, which is not Karura, CC, other churches, what we have found is we will share, and when I share with my friend Andrew here, I'll go to him because I know him. I share with Andrew, and then when he goes to his cell group, you have cells here? Fellowship groups? When they go to the fellowship group, and I heard you talk about masturbation. So one of the things he will say is, let's pray for Kanyoni. Hii masturbation itamuua. So for him, I'm just using as an example, not what he has done. So for him, he is helping me because he's asking for, right? But the environment where he has put it, or where he has put that request, that environment is not an environment that can help me process what I'm going through. Are we together? And that is why we need a band of brothers, that we can process issues that are there together. I have men, one of them is him, that he can put me on account. Nimekuona na dem, huyo ni nani? Are we there? Are we together? And we have a commitment that when I am too much stressed, I can call him and tell him, I have a problem in my marriage. I have a problem, kuna dem mwingine kwa church, nikimuona nasikia kuhama hiyo church because hata someone sisikiangi. Are we there? And this is what you are talking about. So that now from him, the way he understands me, and he understands masculinity, and like you are saying, I'm not telling it to my wife because she doesn't understand. Atimuliza kwani hujaokoka? You know, that's what most people tell us. Where hujaokoka, huombangi enough, you don't have the Holy Spirit. It's not once I've been told that. And it is hurting. So, this is where we are as men. And it's eventually what we have is we get crushed. Our masculinity is crushed. Men actually, our anatomy is intact, but because of poor fathering, lack of affirmation, bullying we may have experienced, either when we were young or even today. There are men who experience bullying. Do you know there is peer pressure even at this level? You know, we only think peer pressure is for our kids. Peer pressure is at different levels. So, because of that, or sometimes because of rejection would be you are rejected either by your nuclear family, it happens. You are rejected at your place of work, you are rejected in church, you are rejected. The worst of all is rejected by your dad. And I always play your dad and then your wife. And rejection, many a times, will come to, I don't want to call it denial, but I want to call it, sometimes it's delayed. Wacha niite to denial. And I put it this way. Most of us as men, wengi wetu tunaumangwa na hapa. Unaona hapa? And the reason is, now when I say that, you'll be able to relate. I know you are looking at me and you're wondering, maybe see now your pain. The reason is, many a times, you want to touch her, You want to be affectionate to her. You go to her, and as you are sleeping, she's sleeping facing the other side. So you get to her with your hand, and you are trying to, try in your own language, try to tell her, I need it. And the next thing is her hand that comes like this. Achana na mimi. So it hits you here. What am I saying? What am I saying? Wanaume wengi, and not you guys because I don't know, tumenyimwa, and for a long time. So you'll see a man walking in church, walking, working. We have being famed, or we have other things out there. But back at home, we are feeling empty. And in the evening, I have had men who, you leave your workplace or your business or whatever, and you're wondering, which home am I going to? Because of the company that is there and what you find. And some of these things, I'm writing something on that, they end up driving us to infidelity, depending on how we handle them. Are we together? We may be looking at other things that we are assuming they are not wounds, but that is a great wound to any man. When you have a wife, because that's the only person you're supposed to have sex with. Hello? When you have a wife, but she's denying you your conjugal right, for whatever reason. For whatever reason. So most men are walking but void. Void. Empty inside. But then what do we do after that? It is now wanting to cope because we have to mask, we have to cover up. We don't want to show. Are we there? So many of us are walking to church, but when we get to near the church, that's when we start walking together with her, because we are doing it for other people. Are we there? Now, I am taking up too much on that because most of the men that I've shared, other than the other one that I'm coming to, the other type of wounds, that is a wound that have made them mess up as men. You spend to cover up. I have been with men who have accepted. You bought a car that you didn't need. Why? Because of the voidness inside you, the car will give you the affirmation when you drive along. Are we there? Sometimes it is even too expensive for you, that car, to maintain and run. But you have to keep it because it masks you from, it gives you some kind of, hata akikataa bado engine inafanya nini? Are we there? We've had people who have changed jobs. We have people, and I have shared with men who have accepted, I'm workaholic because when I get affirmation and, when people now appreciate what I'm doing in my workplace, inanisaidianga kusahau ile mambo ya wife. You get what I'm saying? Or even in church, there are some people in church. I know you are wondering why I'm talking about so many people. It's the number of people that I've shared with over the last 25 years. There are people who are even in church. And it is good they are serving, but the intent and purpose for which they are serving is for affirmation. Are we there? When any man does not get three things, three A's, which I'm going to go through, then it's a source of wounds in the environment that you are in. The first A is acceptance. If you are not accepted in the area where you are, emotionally it hits back at you. You feel deficient. Are we there? Either you are not accepted by your parents, you are not accepted by your wife, you are not accepted in the environment where you are. Every man needs to be accepted, to feel accepted. It's a sense of belonging. It gives you an identity. And that's, as I come now later on to the further wounds. Are we there? So when that identity we don't have, you wonder, who am I? Where do I belong? So you start even going to groups. Are we there? We start going to clubs. We start playing certain games. We go for football matches and whatever because we want to fit in now. That acceptance void creates something in you which you go looking out. And as a man, then you end up injuring your masculinity. Are we together? The second A is affection. Affection is love. Love from your spouse. And if you are not married, love, and I'm not talking about sex, love from your partner or somebody who you are courting with, if you are not married or whatever. When you don't get that, love by your family members. God is love, and we are part. We are made. We have a void of love. For those that have done a bit of psychology and whatever, there is a Maslow's, is it called the pyramid? Hierarchy of needs. And number one from the physical needs, then we go to safety. Number three, very important, is love and belonging. When we don't get that, it's a void in us. It creates a wound in us. And we will look for it. We will look for affection. Where we look for affection will determine how our masculinity will be. And a number of us, we look for it in the wrong places, in brothels. Brothels. Where people, there are certain ladies who are there, they will appreciate you. By the time unaingia hivi, asha kuona kamud kako, amekuongelesha vizuri, you feel appreciated, not you. I'm talking about men. You getting what I'm saying? And that one gives you a sense of belonging. It gives you a sense of being wanted. It gives you an attachment. It may be at your workplace, a lady who appreciates you, a lady who looks at you and it's like, hey, mbona leo hauko sawa, ni nini? Na kasauti kao kana kuanga tofauti. Tofauti na ya wife. So most of the men that I've talked to, including the one you are looking at, eventually they drift. Before you know, like, what am I doing? I don't want to. What am I doing? Then the next question is, now what have we done? Are you getting my point? But even when that happens, at the back of your mind, there is a sound that is telling you, hapo. Niha? So when you come home, you are waiting like, wacha apige ile kelele yake. Nitatoka nitarudi pale. We never consider those as wounds. We think it is a way of life. But it's because there is something that is telling us we are not men enough by the people that we are with. So I've talked about acceptance, I've talked about affection. The third A is affirmation. Affirmation. We struggle, we challenge. There are so many challenges that we have. Do you have people who affirm you? Do you have people who tell you, you look tired, you've done it, you may not have gotten it today, but keep doing it. You will make it one day. Are we there? Let me just relate that with just two examples. I call them my personal life example. One time, I looked at a man who was working under me where I was working. This man was earning that time, about 10 years ago, 12,000 shillings. Ngapi? 12K. Zile wengi wetu, it's no money, hiyo ni change. Ukiwa na hiyo unasema haito? This man had a family of 2 kids. He was living in Kibera, right? So one time, the way I would see him every morning, when I compare with my other guys, most of us who are earning 5 figure, over 100 in 5 figure, six figure. Most of us earning that. But you look at the gloominess on the face in the morning. This kaja comes in the morning and, sasa, mukopo, mmelalaji and whatever. Then you start wondering, huyu jamaa ametoa hiyo zilo wapi? So one time I followed him up. And we got to his house. Of course, gari tuliwacha kando tukatembea. When we got to the house, I found the wife. Yeah, so mdosi. Kambia, no, just relax. Watu ndio hawa, wakakuja. When they saw us from far, with the patches of rotten, clothes and whatever, they ran to the father and, phew, daddy, umekuja. And I said, how many of us get this? Even with all the money, the positions, and the recognitions we have. Are you getting what I'm saying? How does this man feel when these kids are there? So I inquired in my own way, asking a few questions, and the wife admitted there are several times the guy comes with nothing in the evening. Hana do, but he's available, he's loving, he's present. And then the wife then will ask her, "Samu unafanyanga?" No, akikuja tu saa hiyo mimi namwambia ni sawa tu. Kesho atapata tu aendelee mimi natoka naenda kwa mama Njeri na kopa sukuma tunakuja tunakula. You get a point? Then I asked another guy who was married in my workplace and the wife was there. And then the guy said, that is news to me. Me, by the time I get home, everybody is going. If my wife gets home earlier than me, tukifika nyumbani ni kama hatujuani. You get the point? So I'm all alone, sitting room, nabaki peke yangu. Wote wako in various places. So I asked the wife, and she told me, sasa nimpatie chakula kwa nini? Si chakula imewekwa hapo kwa dish. Si dish iko hapo, na kuna microwave. Nikamuuliza na maji. Sasa nampatia maji na dispenser iko hapo, na glasses iko hapo. Si anaamuka tu anaenda Anyway, I worked on that lady and eventually I asked her, what is it that you do for your husband that you can value and say, this is what I do for my husband exclusively as a sign of respect? She cried tears after some time. I'm cutting the long story short. And from that day on, she would serve her husband. And I know some of you are asking, why doesn't Kanyoni come and talk to my wife? So, 3 things. When they are lacking in our lives, we are wounded, we don't seem like it is a wound, we will try to cope. I have not gone to issues of substance abuse. A number of us are abusing substances. Alcohol abuse in church. I know it is not in Karura community, but in a number of churches, I have been there, people that I know. After service, by 4 o'clock, I enter somewhere and it's like, bwana asifiwe, ni lunch tu tunakula kidogo, alafu ndio tutoke tuende. But there is a bottle, not even of wine, a bottle of beer. Are we together? We can judge all these people, but we need to stand together for one another. Now, every man has a source, an identity. And that identity is from the Father. Every man is called out, affirmed by the Father. That's the way God created it out to be. Every man is charged by the Father. That's what David did to his son Solomon. Every man is called out by the Father. Most of us, the way we were brought up, and in my case, my dad was there. Yes, he would provide. But I can't remember times that we sat down with my dad and he was giving me a few words of wisdom and whatever. The only time that I had ni wakati wa kiboko. And I'm wondering why he's beating me. Are we there? He wanted me to perform in school, which was good. But I realized most to heal, it needs intentional, tell your neighbor, intentional, authentic relationships. that can encourage spiritual growth. So, first, look for prayer partners. Prayer partners. Si lazima uwe umeokoka. Hello? Na ni vizuri kuoko? If I had time, sasa hiyo ningeenda at other level. But prayer partners, people you can pray with. You cannot live without a connection first with your Creator. He knows who He created you to be. He knows where the first rain started hitting. When it comes to restoration, He's the only person who can bring you. But most of the times when we are wounded, we are not even able to pray. So can you get a prayer partner who can pray for and with you? And then find out from the scriptures. Exploring God's word together provides wisdom and shared understanding. And then look for small groups, like I have said, that can help us to be able to share together, give us an environment that can be able to, what we call it, a safe environment. In my organization called Safe Haven Nurtures, what we advocate is giving everybody a voice, number one, to share. Without condemnation, without judgment. And giving you that voice, then it means we give you and we encourage safe spaces. Safe spaces. Because every human being looks for safety. Again, when you come to that Maslow, safety is number 2. From the basic needs. Hata afadhali nikose kupendwa, but I am safe. So a safe environment help me to grow as a man that I am. So that is what we encourage. I don't have time to talk much more about it. I'll refer you, now that I don't have that. We have our website, safehavennurtures.com. You can check out there. There are a few blogs that are there. Safehavennurtures.com. Nurture is N-U, not nature. It's N-U-R. But once you get the slides, you'll be able to do that. So it's a journey. Masculinity is a journey. Getting wounds is part of it. The wounds will either be physical, emotional, spiritual. They are part of us. But there is no wound that is greater than God.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to this sermon. We have these meetings every second Saturday of the month, and you're most welcome.